It started with water, sheets of it pouring from the edges of the gallery's red tile rooftop, running over the awning in lopsided rivers and pooling in uneven, shivering lakes on the uneven Tokyo sidewalk. The rain was bothersome, but it was the laughter inside that really sent the cold into my bones. I stood just outside the glass doors, arms wrapped around my soaking jacket, watching the inside of the gallery light up with other people whose faces I recognized and wished so hard not to. I could still see them peering at me sideways, Miho from my father's real estate office, Utica from high school, Uncle June, who always had a heartbreaking smile for me, even when he didn't understand what I was trying to do. And my mother, standing near some abstract painting with a wide, empty space in her eyes. All of them had heard, somehow, that I'd be presenting a choreography proposal at the gallery's new artist audition. All of them wore, tonight, the same mask, polite, thinly veiled amusement, as if I were a child performing magic for adults. I was already drenched by the time the rejection was given, soaked as much by the rain as by that soft shake of the curator's head. Her apology neatly folded in practice language, the way you do when a stray dog follows you inside, hoping to stay. I nodded, thanked her, kept my face steady. I have always been careful about the moment when my face might break. When the doors closed behind me with unnatural softness, there was a ripple of talk inside. Ridiculous, someone whispered, almost with pity. He's still trying, Miho replied too loudly, as if I were not real. The sound didn't shock me. It barely even hurt. I walked into the rain, the city catching my grief as it dripped off my chin and fingertips, washing me clean but exposing the rawness underneath. Every dancer's shoes are their own scars. Mine were threadbare canvas jazz slippers with a jagged seam, yearning desperately for a stage. I was 29. I had been teaching half-hearted kids' classes in Akabane Community Center and practicing in freezing studio corners at midnight, imagining a theater that wanted to see me move. My choreography book, a dog-eared ledger with sweaty, half-legible dreams, had pages so soft they felt like strips of old cloth, carrying the ghost of every near answer and almost yes. Haunted ink with each no, no, no. I walked 4 kilometers home that night, unable to afford the subway fare. The choreography book pressed to my chest under my jacket. Every step home was a litany. Ridiculous, I mouthed, the word blossoming bitterly against my tongue, then dissolving. Each block in Itabashi grew heavier, my feet pulling me back not just physically but through the hazy corridors of memory. My mother was waiting on the tatami near the cold stove, her hands folded in her lap, a cup of oolong steaming next to an unopened envelope. "Why are you so late?" she tried, then nodded once, looking only at the tea. Her worry had become something she wore, like an old kimono, and every time she put it on for my sake, I loved and hated her for it in equal measure. "I'm sorry," I said, and whether it was for coming home empty-handed again, or for dragging her hope through old rain, I could never say. She nodded again, her mouth drawn in a careful line. "We could ask your uncle again about the office," she started. I felt the panic rise. I had to deflect, if only to save myself for tonight, this one night. "I'll start earlier tomorrow," I lied, voice even. "School's got extra classes." Then I hurried to my room, where the wall was thin and the city's heart could be heard pounding in the window glass. Steady and unreachable, my room was lined with ghosts. Posters from Paris Opera Ballet, flyers from an abandoned idea of a hip-hop crew, old Polaroids of me laughing with friends before I told anyone that dance was what I wanted. I lay on the futon, letting the silence fill me. Grief, when given space, sharpens into a blade that can carve out clarity. I realized that I would not stop, even if it meant I would dance alone for the rest of my life. 14 years came and went in great, slow sweeps. Tokyo changed, buildings rising and falling, people coming, growing, aging, dying. My world became the stitched-together network of rehearsal studios in Shin-Okubo, wedge-shaped back rooms above ramen shops, late-night dance sessions behind closed supermarket lots where security barely cared. At first, it was only me and a few reckless others who hadn't quite managed to get out when disillusionment called. Our little company had no name, and we mostly performed for ourselves, testing the limits of bruises. But things move if pushed hard enough. Every time I lost a job, cashier, delivery, English conversation, I found myself at 23-hour rehearsal days, choreographing on borrowed time. Years passed, and the world's eyes occasionally flicked toward Tokyo, seeing a blip, an oddball dancer turning koto strings and street rhythms into strange poems set to movement. I began earning trust. Students came not for fun, but to sweat and listen. My first choreography job was a midnight slot at a tiny fringe festival. The audience was hungover, but someone put it online. A week later, a producer from Seoul messaged wanting a trio piece for a commercial. It paid half my mother's monthly pension. Then, an indie idol group, desperate for anything new, gave my distant hands routine a shot. Their video went semi-viral, the small kind, in the late-night sub-forums of Japanese Twitter. True momentum takes time. My worldview shrank to studios and train lines. My friends dwindled, some to marriage, others to resignation. My mother managed a tired smile each time, saying, "You're happy, at least," but her voice stretched thin, as if she were squinting into fog. 3 years after that first shameful audition, I staged my own show, self-funded, tickets sold at the station. Flyers printed on a home inkjet. The theater fit 80. 70 seats were filled by strangers. My old classmates sat at the back, arms crossed. They left at intermission, but I barely noticed. One critic from Tokyo Shinbun wrote, "Raw, unvarnished, like watching someone carve open chest and memory at the same time." I clipped the review. My mother folded it and kept it in her cheap lacquer jewelry box. 5 years later, a phone call came from an agency. A big one, the kind that books music videos for J-pop stars. They wanted something unique, not showbiz, not exactly, for a debut artist's major single. The budget was more than I'd earned in a year. I worked for days, no sleep, hands numbing under the studio's blast heater, looping the same progression, drilling the dancers until legs shook. When it dropped, people talked. Soon I was flying. Seoul, Taipei, Los Angeles, teaching workshops, setting choreography on pop bands, directing. Each time, in the dressing rooms after, that ache of grief would return, softly, like a warning. Don't forget what it cost. I began to collect short letters of thanks, artists who said my movement changed something in their bones. I taped them in my old ledger, careful not to let the ink bleed. Tokyo became, in my mind, a larger, less painful place. I saved what I could, until I could buy my mother a washing machine that wasn't older than me. I paid off every cent of her debts. The last time I saw her, still in our old Itabashi apartment, she cupped my face in her small hand, tears tracking the same paths as that first gallery night. "You did it," was all she said, but it kept me alive for months. She died quietly during a warm May, sitting cross-legged at her low table, morning tea gone cold beside her. She never saw the international festival invitation, but one addressed to me as directeur artistique. For weeks my world felt dry, the bright lights and applause of big theaters echoing hollowly inside me. It was grief again, sharp as it ever was. But when it passed, it left its clarity. I had survived, but at a price. I wondered if my success had ever been for Tokyo, or for her, or just to silence the laughter. The next year, after my mother's funeral, A friend texted, "The gallery where I'd been rejected on that first rainy night was hosting its 20th anniversary bash. They're looking for alumni artists," he wrote. A twist in his words. "Thought of you. Would like to see them eat their words." I laughed when I saw the invitation. A mass email, templated, cold. There were